Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. It is October, it is the season of Halloween. We are going to jump into a game of Arkham Horror, the living card game. This is one of my favorite games. I enjoy this game so much, but I don't play it enough on the channel. So I wanted to get a super fun playthrough for you during the month of October. What you see before you is this Calyx box that is created by a company called Fancy But Functional. I have everything from Arkham Horror and it all fits into this box, and I'm going to show you everything about this, because if you're looking for a way to start putting your collection into a single area where you can get a hold of, this is something you may want to look into. I'll put a link to this in the description below, and you can see all the other products that he has available that you can get. Now, of course, I did have to build this. It doesn't come assembled. You have to build it yourself, which isn't too tough. It has some great directions that go with it. Along with this giant box, he also has some smaller ones as well, where you can put each campaign into its own separate box. And of course, not just Arkham Horror is available. He's got stuff for Cthulhu Death May Die. He's got stuff ready for Descent. He's even got some stuff for Kingdom Death Monster. I have his insert for Madara. It is out of control. With a great insert like that, you can get these games to the table super fast. He's done some stuff for Massive Darkness and almost all of the Awakened Realms games that have an absolute monstrous amount of material. So please go check out the link for Fancy But Functional. It's in the description. Now let me show you exactly what is in this box and how it works. And then of course we'll be getting to our game, which I'm super pumped for. This does have a lock system, so you can keep everything in one spot. It opens up just like this, and then I have sorted all my stuff. I have the stuff for our return to all the different places, and I have all the different scenarios all in here ready to go. And I've put them in order based on the kind of how they kind of came out in succession. I also have here the actual straight up investigator decks that you can buy individually, such as this one right here. We have, who is this? This is Stella Clark. So I have all those all together in one spot. So if I ever just want to quickly jump out and not have to build a deck, I've got these already built investigators ready to go. This thing does open up completely just like this, and it expands all the way out. I have every single scenario that's ever been made for this in the retail version, plus a few extra scenarios as well. Like I've got this one over here, the what is it? The Conservation on the Constellation. I have this one. I have it just right up here, and I have everything for all of these together. We have some of our tokens here. It even comes with another token box that you can use. It's right here. I've already set it out for our game and ready to play with. These are all the instruction booklets and everything that come for the game and all the different expansions. And on top of that, down in the bottom area here, I still haven't sleeved my one for the latest expansion, but I have it right here. These are all the different scenario booklets ready to go. They're all in order from here on down, and then these all pop out and you can grab whatever you need. So if you decide you want to play this particular scenario, you've got them all ready to go. I have these I printed off from the Board Game Geek site, and the other ones though are all part of the return system. They have these really cool dividers if you ever get those boxes for the return to certain parts of Arkham. All down here I have my token bags, and here are all the investigators that are collected through all the different expansions that have been put out so far. But this is such a cool way to store everything. Now I don't have the investigator cards in here. They are in a different spot because I don't have to have this all open when I'm trying to build all the decks for different characters and stuff. It's just when I go to play the certain scenarios, I can then grab what I'm going to do. So if I'm going to do the Dunwich Legacy, I can just grab this one here and the bigger box that goes with it, take both of these out of here, and I can take them wherever I want to go. I can even take it on the road if I want to, which is pretty sweet. Now I can't take the whole box on the road to be out of control, but I can take the certain card holders out with me as well, and they all come with everything you see here when you pick it up. You can even get some your own custom inserts for these as well that are kind of wooden. They go in there, and there are some right down here that I have in some of these, and these you can use to separate all the different things as well. But I've used the card separators that I was able to print out or get from the return system. So that's what's in this box, and this is what it holds. It holds a monstrous amount of stuff. The Scarlet Keys stuff then will go right here as soon as it comes out. At the time of this recording, thing. It is not out yet, so I'm super excited for it for when it finally does come out. But then once you're done, you can just take all your rule books and all your punch tokens and everything and stick them all right back in here. And then I usually put these right on top of the ones that they're used for, so I know exactly what scenarios are what. So that is the Arkham Horror Calyx box that I was able to get from Fancy But Functional. It is fancy and it is functional for sure. This thing all just comes right back together. You can lock this all up and stick it right in your Calyx box. It fits perfectly. Now, that's all I want to say about this. It's really super cool, and like I said, if you're interested in it, please take a look in the description below. But I'm excited to do some Arkham Horror the living card game. I hope you are as well. And if you're excited to see our 2 investigators and the scenario we're going to be playing, then I need you to meet me at the table. The first investigator is Vincent Lee. He's from the Scarlet Keys expansion that just came out, so I'm excited to try him out. I do want to say a couple things before we start looking at this guy. Number one, full disclosure, the box was given to me by Fancy But Functional, and I wanted to make sure everybody's able to see it in full action. The other thing is I'm not very great at making these decks, so I'd like to thank Howard and Kate. They're both members of the community that helped me decide how to build these decks and what's in them. So, of course, if these decks do fail us, we can always blame them. Of course, I'm just kidding. I would always blame myself because I'm sure it's more bad play than it would be anything to have to do with the deck. So the first one is Vincent Lee. He's got 3-4-3-1 across the board. He does have this ability here. After one of your card effects heals damage from an investigator or an ally asset, add one of your set-aside on-the-mend skills to that investigator's hand. And our star here gives us the effect +1, and you may heal 1 damage from an investigator ally at your location. He starts with 9 health and 6 sanity. Then what we're talking about on the mend, it's right here. It's this card. This card, he comes with 4 of them set aside out of play, and you're going to use them based on the number of investigators you have. This says limit 1 on the mend in your hand. Commit only to a test you are performing. Forced. When on the mend would be discarded from anywhere, set it aside out of play instead. And you're able to use it as a skill to give you 2 wild, so it's really good. So you kind of want to take damage, have this guy heal you, and get this into your hand. Now on the back, it shows us how we're going to build his deck. It's 30 cards. He's able to use Seeker cards level 0 to 3, neutral cards level 0 to 5 that heal damage. Level 0 to 5 up to 15 Guardian cards and or Survivor cards level 0 to 1. And our deck requirements do not count toward the deck size as Bone Saw, and like I said, investigator size, number of on the mend, wounded bystander, and a random basic weakness. Additionally, you may begin each game with 1 copy of On the Mend set aside out of play. So that's the deal here. So we're going to set 2 of these out of play because we are playing a 2-player game. These 2 are not going to be used. It would only be used if you're playing 3 or 4. We have our Bone Saw here, which is a fantastic asset, and you can use it as a weapon as well. It's Vincent Lee's deck only. I get +2 fight for this attack. If this attack is successful, you may take 1 damage, deal +1 damage for the attack. I can also, as an action, I can heal 5 damage from an investigator at your location. They're going to test their intellect, and if you fail, that investigator suffers 1 physical trauma. I can only do it once per game, which is, so I'll have to keep track of that. And then here is our Wounded Bystander. This is an absolutely tragic card. I'm not a big fan of this thing. This is his weakness. I don't know anybody who's excited about their weaknesses. Revelation. Put the Wounded Bystander to play with 3 damage on it. It cannot leave play while it is damaged unless it is defeated. If it has no damage, I get to discard it. So it comes in with 3 damage on it. Forced. When you take non-direct damage, at least one of it must be assigned to the Wounded Bystander, and if the Wounded Bystander is defeated, I suffer 1 mental trauma. And remember, mental trauma is way worse than actually just taking horror. That's a trauma that's going to persist into continuing games. So he would be down to 5 sanity every time this guy dies. He's going to lose 1 more. So he could potentially really kill you just straight up through the game. This is our basic weakness that we drew at random. I get to add, it's haunted. So add 1 haunted to your threat area. You get -1 for all your skills. I can use 2 actions to discard haunted. The rest of his deck is going to be super cool. It's built mainly around being able to gain clues and heal damage, of course. There's also, I tried to include a couple of the new cards that have customizable to it. So we have 1 there, and we have, I think, 1 more customizable card in here as well. Hunter's Armor is also customizable, so we'll see how those work. And I also tried to add some cards in here that we can add points to those cards so you can see them in action. Here's Hunter's Armor, so when you customize it, you're going to be able to check off certain boxes and gain these extra abilities when that card is played. I think it's a really cool system that they're adding, and I'm excited to try it out. So that is going to be Vincent Lee. Let's move over to our other investigator. Here's our next investigator, Lily Chen. Super excited for this one. Martial artist is going to be awesome. Her stat line right here is 3-2-4-3. You begin the game with each discipline in your deck in play, unbroken side face up. If I ever draw the star symbol, I will get +2 and be able to flip a broken discipline you control to its unbroken side. She starts with 7 and 7. And if we look on the back, it'll talk about how we're able to construct her deck. It is 30 cards. She can have Mystic cards level 0, Guardian cards level 1 through 5, Neutral cards level 0 through 5, up to 5 Guardian cards level 0. Deck building requirements, I have to have Burden of Destiny and for each discipline asset, see below, and then one random basic weakness. Additional for deck restrictions, that I cannot have any firearms, which makes total sense. And additionally requirements, at deck creation, choose a discipline asset and add it to your deck. It is considered part of your deck building requirement. For every 15 experience you've earned in total, you may choose to add a different discipline asset to your deck. I will mention that we are starting the very first mission in one of the campaigns, so I am starting at 0 experience points for all of our characters. Here are the 4 disciplines. We have to choose one. Each one of these is going to give us a bonus to a particular stat, and they all have a special ability that can trigger when you use it as an action. This is the one we're going to use. I'm going to be gaining +1 to my agility, and then 1 at a time take up to 3 different fight or evade actions. And I flip this asset over. The action does not provoke a tax opportunity. When it's flipped over, it is what is considered broken. And then after the round ends, if no enemies were at the same location as you at any point this round, flip the asset over to its unbroken side. So hopefully we'll get this out as fast as we can. Now for each discipline, we're going to have to take one of these, and they're all the same. And it says you must either flip a discipline to broken or take 1 damage and 1 horror. So we do not want to see these, but I'm only going to get 1 per discipline, so we're going to put 3 of them away in there. Now, of course, if we ever continue forward and get up to 15 experience points, I can grab another discipline, but I would also have to take another one of those weaknesses. The other thing we have is we have a random basic weakness as well. The one that she was lucky enough to draw is leg injury. Put leg injury into play in your threat area. Leg injury can be healed as if it were a single point of damage for you. And if it's healed, I discard it. After you take a move, resign, or evade action, you cannot take any other types of actions for the remainder of the turn. It's absolutely devastating. Hopefully we can get our medic over there to help him out. Vincent's going to help her out. I hope to get rid of this. I also have a couple other cards out here, and I wanted to make sure you knew about these before we started. The first one is in the thick of it. At the beginning, when you limit 1 per deck, I can purchase this at deck creation, and I did. When you purchase the thick of it, suffer 2 total physical and or mental trauma, then earn 3 experience points. So I get to start with 3 experience points, but I have to take physical or mental trauma. And remember, that's permanent damage that can't be removed. So I've decided, are going to take 2 physical damage, mainly because I do have Vincent here who's able to heal damage. Now, he'll never be able to get rid of the permanent damage, but he could at least be able to heal the any other damage we get on us, so preventing her from hopefully dying. I don't think he has a lot of stuff that can heal trauma, or horror, I'm sorry. So it's probably best if she just takes that. So she's now a 5/7 instead. These are the 2 cards I chose as experience upgrades. The first one is an upgraded version of Bandolier. It says you have 2 additional hand slots, which you can only use to hold weapon assets. And while you have a weapon asset held in 2 or more hand slots, I get +1 to my willpower, which would be fantastic. And it also gives me an extra health, so that's pretty good. And the other one is this one, Ever Vigilant Tactic. Once one at a time, play up to 3 assets from your hand, reducing the resource cost by each by 1. So hopefully we can get a whole bunch of our assets out pretty fast. Of course, I'll need a lot of resources to be able to do that. I have some pretty cheap assets in here, but of course we do have this dragon pole, which I'm really hoping we can get out. And since I can put 2 of them out because of the Bandolier, it'd be pretty awesome to have these. Now, I can't use both of them in a fight, but I can at least have them both out. A lot of her stuff is going to be built more for combat because I built Vincent more for healing and being able to gain those clues out of there. So I don't have any of the new cards into here when it came to building this deck. But there are some still from all the other sets, just not from the Scarlet Keys. I don't think I have any in here. I may have a couple, but I don't think I have any of the ones that upgrade, which is okay. That's going to be Lily Chen. We've also looked at Vincent. Now let's see where we're going. The adventure we're going to go through is the Dunwich Legacy. There's a couple reasons I want to do that. One, I've never played it, so I'm excited to see what actually transpires. And two, this is the one that comes directly after the core game. So if you've purchased the core game and you're thinking about purchasing your next set of scenarios, this might be the one you might want to turn to. Of course, there are so many to pick from that it's hard to make a choice. So I thought if I showed at least one from this particular expansion, you can decide if that's something you might want to play. So our prologue here is Dr. Henry Armitage pours himself a glass of Pinot and sits down at his desk, gesturing for you to sit across from him. I apologize for the short notice, he begins, his face pale, his forehead sweaty and wrinkled with worry. Armitage, the head of the library of the Vincent University and a former mentor of yours, privately contacted you in the hopes of gaining your assistance. Eager to help, you made your way to his home in Southside. Upon entering, you were surprised to find him in his home actually in disarray. Books and notes litter his desk, and an empty bottle of wine has tipped over onto the ground by the fireplace. You'd always known Armitage to be neat and well organized. The elderly man takes a moment to collect his thoughts. I am looking for two of my colleagues, Dr. Francis Morgan, Professor of Archaeology, and Warren Rice, Professor of Languages. Warren was supposed to meet up with me over supper earlier today to discuss several important findings, but he has since gone missing. At first I thought nothing of it, but I have a nagging feeling something else is going on, a very familiar feeling. You've never seen Armitage quite this worried before. His hands tremble as he reaches for the glass on his desk, and he sips from it nervously. I tried to find Francis and hoping he knew where Warren was, but he too is out of touch. Francis has been spending a lot of time in the gambling den, or so I am told. I sent for you because I am worried Warren might be in trouble. I would appreciate it greatly if you could find him for me. You may also wish to ask Francis for help if you can reach him. Investigators must choose. So at this point, we actually make a decision right off the bat. Professor Warren Rice was last seen working late at night in the Humanities Department at the Vincent University. Let's search for him there. Proceed to Scenario 1A, Extracurricular Activity, if you wish to find Professor Warren Rice. Dr. Francis Morgan was last seen gambling at the Clover Club, in upscale speakeasy and gambling joint located downtown. Let's go talk to him. If you want to do that, go to 1B, The House Always Wins, if you wish to find Dr. Francis Morgan first. I think what we're going to do is just kind of go in order here. We're just going to start by going to extracurricular activity. Besides, it'll be nice to go back to a university. And school's in. It's October. It's going to be awesome. It should be a nice, brisk walk around the campus. Dr. Armitage is worried about his colleague, Professor Warren Rice, might be in trouble, so he asks for your help in finding his friend. He seems unreasonably nervous about his colleague's disappearance, considering Professor Rice has only been missing for a matter of hours. So at this point, we're going to set this up. It's very similar to setting up some of the other scenarios that you've ever seen. We're just going to grab these particular card types and set them all to become our deck of the evil, vile encounter deck of death. So hopefully these things don't do too much badness to us. There are a few other setup instructions here, and it talks about whether or not this is our first or second, so it does matter if you go to which one first or second. It depends on the following circumstances. If extracurricular is your first scenario of the campaign, use facility offices. The night is still young. Set aside out of play. Remove facility office. The hour is late from the game. So we'll make sure to take note of this, and I'll show you both of those cards when we go to setup. Of course, if we did it the other way around, we'd put the other one in play and take the other one out, it looks like. Set the following cards aside out of play: Jazz Mulligan, Alchemical Concoction, The Experiment, Professor Warren Rice, Dormitories, and Alchemy Labs. So we'll take those out of play. Finally, we're going to put the quad, the library, the humanities building, the student union, science building, and administration building locations into play, and each investigator begins play in the quad. We'll shuffle the remainder of the encounter cards to build the encounter deck, and I have that all right here ready to go. Here's our setup of all the different locations. We do have our 2 character cards here. We'll put them both in the quad like it tells us to, with the color side up to show they have not activated their turn yet. We're also going to take that hour is late facility office and remove it. And I've taken the facility office, the night is still young, alchemy labs, dormitory experiment, alchemical concoction, Professor Warren Wright, and Jazz Mulligan, and we have set them out of play. And we have all of our locations ready to go. For those of you that are new to Arkham Horror, the way you're going to be moving around is by checking to see if any of these connect with any of these, and I'll kind of show you how that works as we're playing through the game. Up here we have our act, agenda, and our scenario card. Also, we have our encounter deck ready to go. Our scenario card, I've decided, of course, to go on easy standard because I don't feel like super failing. These tokens are pulled. We'll consult the table. Of course, there's always an expert and hard mode as well. And if you're able to pick up the return to, they do have an extra scenario card for that allows you to change out some of the ones to make it more of a difficult challenge. And on the reverse side, it has some more instructions on how to make this a little bit different, and has some extra cards that go along with this particular scenario. And the return to is a really neat way to add more content to an already completed one of these expansions. Now, sadly, I've never done this one, so I'm not going to do that. If we look at our agenda here, it states, you have arrived at the Misanthropic University campus in search of Professor Warren Rice. Classes are over and a mysterious silence hangs in the air over the quad. And now there's ever 7 or more doom. We're going to advance this agenda. We have this right here, which is after hours. Professor Rice was last seen several hours ago by one of the Armitage's students in the humanities building. So maybe we might want to go there first. There are 3 clues that we have to gather times investigator. So once we get 6 clues, we can advance the act deck, meaning we're getting closer to the end for us, where of course the agenda advances. That means it's getting closer for the bad guys, which we don't want. We'll start by drawing our opening hand, and all of our investigators have now 5 resources. Let's grab our 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see what we have. We have Safeguard, we have Overpower, we have Uncage the Soul, and we have Ward of Protection, and we have an Enchanted Blade. So she does have one of her weapons, which is kind of nice. So now we have to decide if we want to mulligan any of these cards in order to maybe find some better ones. There are some cool cards in this deck, but I'm okay with the 5 we have. We'll see how they play out. Next, we'll draw Vincent's 5 cards and see what he gets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has gotten himself, it looks like, a tool belt. He has his emergency cache. He's got, I've got a plan. I made sure to perfectly put this into my deck. I made sure that when the decks were built, this card I secretly said I wanted to have in this because, you know, I always have a plan. Does it work? We'll find out. Then we have Jeremy Kirby, and we have an old keyring. I think, again, I am pretty set with his cards, too. He's got a fantastic set of cards. I don't know if I need the tool belt right now because I don't have a lot of assets. We're going to mulligan the tool belt. We'll see what else we get. We've got another I've got a plan. All right, so he's got lots of plans, but he doesn't have a tool belt anymore. We're going to mix that back into his deck, give it a good old truffle shuffle, and then he is all set to start his turn as well. We also have to pick a lead investigator for this mission, and I'm going to make it Lily. I think that'll be fantastic. And we're going to quickly go through the round sequence. We start with our Mythos phase, but notice it does say skip during the first round, so we'll be coming back to that. So next we'll go to our investigator phase, where each investigator takes a turn performing 3 actions. The actions that we can perform are on the back here. We can use 1 action to draw a card or gain a resource. We can play an event, asset, or asset card from our hand. Fast cards do not cost action to play. We can activate an ability on the card, which is notated by that symbol. We can move to a connecting location. Remember, those are going to be connected based on the colors. And this one is actually connected to every single one of these. But these 2 are connected, but none of the other ones are actually connected. You always have to go back to this one most of the time, except for those 2 areas over there. The other one is we can investigate our location, which we're going to use to try to gain clues. We can fight or engage an enemy at your location. You can attempt to evade an enemy at your location. These 2 notations down here are card abilities that do not cost an action to activate. This one is usually based on how an action has resolved. Something may be able to be benefited, or sadly it could be detriment to it. And this one is just something that you can do. And it says here, if you are engaged with an enemy and spend an action to do anything other than fight, evade, or activate a parlay or resign ability, each enemy engaged with you makes an attack of opportunity. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. I don't like attacks of opportunity. At this point, it's going to be her turn first. And we know that in theory, last time he was seen was down here. So let's move over in that direction. I'm going to have her move for one of her actions over to this location. And before I do that, I forgot I have to reveal this location. It says right here, it's a too early winter has stripped the trees bare. Their dead branches whistle as a sharp cold cuts across the empty quad. Wow, it's almost perfect. It's October here in Minnesota. It's kind of cold already. It's already snowed once. It says here, this has a shroud of 3, but there are no clues for us. As an action, I can resign. We can't find rice anywhere. You leave the campus hoping that Armitage will forgive you. Surrounded by forces and gates and of wrought iron, you cannot help but feel as much a prisoner as you are a guest. So here we are. That's the quad. And at this point, now we could choose to move if we wish to. But before we do, I want to play out my Enchanted Blade. Sadly, it's not a spell or ritual, so I can't use this card, and it's going to cost me 3 resources to do that, found right up here. And I'll put 3 charges on it, and if anybody's interested, these neat 3D elements I have for this game, I will put a link to them in the description of where I got them. I picked them up before I did my first play of Arkham, which I think is on my channel from a while ago. The guy might not be doing these anymore. I'm not exactly sure, but I will put that link if you're interested. And one of the reasons I chose that particular person is he's actually local to me here in Minnesota, so that was kind of cool. Now for our second action, we'll move over to the library, or I could actually move straight down there. Let's go that. Let's just go straight down to the Humanities building and see what we have found. It says here, Professor Rice was last seen in the Humanities building teaching one of his Latin classes. The murky windows of the weather-worn structure emits no light and the light is silent. Night is silent around you. Okay, so this is a 3 shroud, and there are 4 clues here. Forced. At the end of your turn, if you are in the Humanities building, discard the top X card of your deck, where X is the amount of horror on you. So right now I don't have any, so it's not going to affect me, which is a good thing. We will place down our 4 clues. There's 2 for each investigator at this location. Now she still has 1 more action. I could choose to investigate here if I want to, but I don't have very good investigating skills. She only has a 2 and didn't really build her to be the investigator in this group. So at this rate, I think what I'm going to do is maybe just play out another card. I could use my final 2 resources to play out Safeguard, which is another asset. And what this allows me to do is, after another investigator moves from your location to a connecting location, exhaust Safeguard to move to that location. So I kind of get a free move based on that. Keep an eye out there for any trouble, she told me. I rolled my eyes. There will always be trouble. That's pretty awesome. So I'll put that one out there just like that. So we have some assets ready to go. I think she's in a good spot at the start of this. Vincent is also going to start by playing a few cards. The first one he's going to play is this old key ring. He's going to play that. That's going to cost him 1 of his resources. And then I'm going to put out Jeremy Kirby here. I think this will be pretty good. He's going to be put out there. That's going to cost him 4. Now, I'm not too worried about it because I do have this emergency cache if I wish to, or cash if I wish to use it. I could get a couple extra resources. Now, this one comes in with 2 charges on it, and I can use it to investigate and lower the shroud value by 2. Now, Jeremiah is, interestingly, as he comes into play, even or odd is what I have to choose. Then I reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, draw each card that costs that matches the chosen option, and shuffle the remaining in. I'm going to choose odd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see how many we get. So we have a nothing, 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 and 1. So I got another, I got an old key ring, but good news, I get to shuffle that thing back into my deck. Let's get it all the way to the bottom. I don't want that anywhere near my guy. So we're going to do a good old truffle shuffle on this and probably put it right back on top. Who knows? But that's how Jeremy Kirby worked. Those are 2 actions. I was able to put out 2 of those cards. Now let's move over with Julie. And by Julie, I mean Lily. Said Julie. Julie, that's pretty funny. Those 2 now. Of course, I should have flipped them over to show that all 3 of their actions are complete. And that's the end of the turn. We'll move down into the next part, which is going to be our enemy phase. Enemies with the hunter keyword move toward the nearest investigator. There are no enemies on the board, and each engaged enemy attack, there is no enemies on the board. We'll go to the upkeep. We'll reset our actions, which means we'll flip our mini cards back up to there. So we now have our 3 actions back. And at this point, we are going to ready all of our exhausted cards. There are none of those. those, but we are going to be able to draw a card and gain a resource. And then each investigator checks their hand size and discards down to 8 cards. You can never have more than 8 unless, of course, there's an effect that's allowing you to do it. Lily gains 1 resource and is also able to get herself what's a 6th sense. Investigate using my willpower instead of books. If any of these symbols are revealed during this test, you may choose a revealed location connected to your location. You are now investigating as if you're at the chosen location instead of the location you are. You may use either shroud value. Oh my gosh, that's pretty awesome. All right, and it does cost 3, so I could play this out using my card for free, which I think might happen next turn. And we have Vincent. He's also going to gain 1 of his resources, and he gets, what's this? He's going to get himself the scene of the crime. Play only as your first action. Discover 1 clue at your location. 2 instead if there is an enemy at that location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I want to draw an enemy right now. So we'll put that right there. Now, he doesn't have 8 cards. He only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're doing just fine. We'll now move up to the Mythos phase, which says we're going to place 1 Doom on the agenda. Advance the agenda if the Doom threshold is satisfied, and then each investigator draws 1 card from the top of the encounter deck. Here's our Doom tokens. We'll place 1 right here, so I have 6 more, and we'll be advancing. We'll draw Lily's card first. Lily has found a Thrall. This is awesome. So there is an enemy at the location. I can't believe I got so lucky. We'll put this down. Spawn at the location with the most clues, and it has Retaliate as well. And it's going to do 1 horror and 1 health to us as well. So we'll want to try to take this out as fast as we can. We'll also draw a card for Vincent. Vincent has found Light of Gormran, Packed Power, Peril, Revelation. You must attach Light of this place to either the current agenda or the current act. Limit 1 per agenda or act. Treat all damage as direct damage and all horror as direct horror. Oh my gosh, so the only way to get rid of this is to get through 1 of these. I'm going to attach it to our act deck because I'm already in a place that has 4. I think that'll work out pretty well for us. At this point, we now can choose the order in which we want to use our investigators, but once we start using them, they have to perform all their actions. I'm going to start with Vincent this turn. He's going to start by playing that emergency cash here. We're going to play that card to gain ourselves 3 resources. And at this point now, I'm going to pay 2 of those resources to be able to activate our scene of the crime. So I'm going to be able to discover 1 clue at your location, 2 instead if there's an enemy at this location. Now, the enemy is not engaged with him, and that's totally fine. He can still do this because the enemy is at the location. So I'm going to gain 2 of those clues from that location, and we're going to discard this card. We have 1 action remaining, and the shroud value where we are right now is a 3. And I could investigate this to see if we can get another clue. Or I could help out Lily, but I think she's just fine. Remember, I built her to try to be more of the combat person, and he's more of the gain the clues ability person. He's got 4 right here, and +1 from Jeremiah, so that means he's going to have a total of 5. And the shroud value is 3, so right now we are at +2. I could use one of my old keys if I want to try to get yet again another -2 on that, bringing it down to 0. I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to save our keys for another location. We're going to take our bag, which I have built up based on the scenario itself, which is found on the book right here. And I will say we are playing on standard. I am not playing on anything harder than that, and I'm not playing on easy. So that's the tokens we have in here. We're going to mix this up and see which token we get out of the magic bag here. We got a 0. That's fantastic. That's way more than we needed. I'm going to grab a 3rd clue for Vincent. He now has 3. That's absolutely awesome. Vincent is now complete. We'll move over to Lily, and the Thrall does spawn at the location with the most clues, and at the time of its arrival, the place that had the most clues is the Humanities Building, so it's going to just engage straight with her from what I understand. And if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below. And of course, always check the pinned comments section after you watch this in case there are any rules errors. That's where they'll be. There is a lot going on in Arkham Horror, the living card game. It's a fantastic game, but sometimes you can get a couple things wrong here and there. I'm going to use my Enchanted Blade to try to take this guy out. Right now, my fight skill is a 4, plus I get +1 if I decide to use the fight from this action right here. I get +1 for the attack as an additional cost. To initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to empower the blade. If you do, you get +1 fight and +1 damage, which would be enough to take this guy out. So we are going to use one of the actions here to do that. So I have a total fight value of 4, 5, 6 to his fight value of 2, which is found right here. Let's see if we're able to take this guy out. Let's grab our magic bag of doom and gloom here and reach in there, grab a token, and and see which one we get. We have gotten a -2, which is still going to be fine because at -2, I still have 4 to his 2, and I do +1 damage. So I get to do 2 damage. He only has 2 health. He is defeated. We'll put him into the discard pile. We now have 2 more actions to perform. I'm going to play out Sixth Sense by using this card. Play a spell or ritual card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 3. So I'm reducing it by 3, making it 0, which puts this out here, which is going to be awesome. So now when I investigate, I can use my willpower instead of my intellect, which is a little bit better. I've got a 3. It's not the best, but it's still better than what I had before. And let's see if there's any other cards I want to play right now. I don't think so. I'm going to save this for when we run out of our enchanted blade. I can maybe grab another weapon out of our deck at that point, but at this point, I don't think I need to do that. That's my second action. And my third one, I could try to get that other clue. The shroud value is 3, and I do have 3. And it does say that if I draw any of these, I can reveal another location and potentially use that shroud value. I don't know if that's a good idea. There's a lot of stuff going on. Or I could draw a card or gain a resource as another option, or move. I think I'm actually just going to draw a card because we only have a few cards here. We only have like 3. So let's get another card and see how we do here. We've got, oh, we got our Burden of Destiny. Revelation, you must either choose, flip the discipline you control to its broken side. It cannot be flipped back this round. I think we're going to do that. I'll just flip this over like that. And it does say here now that after the round ends, if no enemies were at your same location at this point, the round flip the asset to its unbroken side. Now I can't because I'm not going to be able to flip it for this turn. I'll put that in the discard pile. It's actually really good to grab right now. There's no enemies here. I'm actually pretty excited about that. Those are our 3 actions for her. We're done with both of our investigators at the Humanities building. Let's move to the rest of the round. The first thing we'll do is reset our characters' action cards. We all get to gain 1 resource, making Vincent up to 3, and Lily will be up to 2 resources. Then Lily gets to draw a card. She gets a dragon pole. This is exactly what I was going to go for after we lost if we ever lost the enchanted blade. You have 1 additional arcane slot. That's awesome. Fight, you get +1 for this attack for each of your arcane slots that is filled. If you have at least 2 of your arcane slots filled, this attack deals +1 damage. This thing is bonkers good, especially for a character like her. So that goes into our hand. We'll draw a card for Vincent and see what he has found. He found his weakness. Oh no, this is terrible. I don't have any way of healing right now. I didn't grab any healing cards. All my cards have to do with like finding clues. I didn't expect to have to heal things right away here. I have to put the wounded bystander into play area with 3 damage on it. It cannot leave play while it has damage. If it has no damage, discard it. When you take non-direct damage, at least 1 has to be assigned to the wounded bystander if able. Forced, if the bystander is gone, it suffers mental trauma. So I've already done 3 damage to this. He only has 2 left. But the good news is this is on our act deck right now, and it says that you must attach it there and limit 1, treat all damage as direct or all horror as direct. So at this point, if I do take any damage, it is all going to be direct. So it actually is a great time again for him to draw his weakness. Wow, we got actually pretty lucky for drawing our weaknesses. None of our people have 8 or more cards. We'll drop another Doom down there. Lily will draw the top card. She has found what says, Eager for Death. Test 2 intellect. Increase this skill difficulty by 1 for each damage on you. If you fail, take 2 horror. Okay, we'll have to deal with her skill test, and we'll see what happens to Vincent. Vincent has found visions of the past. Test 5 willpower. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of your deck. Oh, bonkers bad. They're both horrible. Let's start with Willie. Lily has a willpower of 3, and this is a 2, and we have to do for each damage or horror. Now, I don't believe this is going to count because, remember, that's not horror or damage she's taken. This is from this card here, which is going to be just straight badness. It's physical trauma, not actual damage. The only reason I have the damage here is to remind myself she only has 5 health. Now I do have this card here, Ward of Protection. Fast play when you draw a non-weakness treachery card. Cancel that card's revelation effect, then take 1 horror. So I could take 1 horror from that, or I could just test this thing. Increase the skill test difficulty by 1 for each damage on you, which is 0. If you fail, take 2 horror. So right now she's only at +1. Now I could just use this for its skill value right here, and I think I will. I'm going to discard this just to gain +1 to the skill. So I now have a total of 4 willpower going against this. Let's draw our evil tokens and see what we get. So far they've been okay for me. Let's see what they are now. A 0! Oh, that's fantastic. So I didn't need to use the card, but that's okay. We're going to discard that treachery. Meanwhile, Vincent, who has 3 willpower and doesn't gain any more from any of his friends up here, and only has, let's see what cards he's got right here. He has no willpower cards here to help him out. Oh, this is going to be terrible. All right, we'll see how many cards we're discarding. I guess discarding cards aren't the worst thing ever, I don't believe. Let's see what we get. We got a cloaked symbol. That symbol right here says -1, -3 instead if there are 10 or more cards in your discard pile. Oh no, now I see where this is going. All right, so it's at -1. So I got a 2 and that is a 5, so that's a differential of 3. So I have to discard the top cards of my deck by 3. So I'm just going to take all 3 of these, and I bet they're all going to be healing cards, aren't they? We found a magnifying glass, some bandages, and oh, look at this, the pocket multi-tool. All 3 of those were good. All right, we'll put them in there. But only the bandages were going to be healing cards, so it's not the end of the world. We'll put those there. We'll discard this card and move into our next turn. Vincent's going to go first again, and at this point I think it's time to get that last clue. He has a total intellect of 5 versus the shroud value of 3, so he is at +2. Let's see how we do. For his first action, he's just going to go ahead and grab one and see what we get. -1, we're doing just fine. We have that last clue. That's the 4th one from this location. There's no more left to get. So at this point, he's going to move up to the the Orne library. And I'm going to use this card. It's called Safeguard. After another investigator moves from your location, I can exhaust this. I'm going to exhaust this and be able to move her with him, which is going to be fantastic, keeping these 2 together. It states right here, the floors are weathered gray granite. The library looks more like a requiem than a place of learning. Stone gargoyles snarl down from above arched windows. The Latin scripts winds around the double doors at the top of the wide set of stone steps. There is 2 clues here. You must spend 1 additional action to investigate at the library. Oh, barf. All right, well, that's not too bad. But it's got a shroud value of 3. Maybe it might not be worth staying here for very long. Now, sadly, I only have 1 action left, so I can't even try to get these clues at this point. So I either could draw a card, gain a resource, or I could move and maybe find another place that has clues that we can gain. Though this is a victory card, and I can use that to gain some experience points as we continue forward on this campaign. We are going to move over to this location, and he is going to end his turn. I can't follow him because, of course, this is exhausted. You can only use it once. Next, she's going to go. She's going to move here for 1 action, and for a second action, she's going to move either the administration building, the student union, or the science building. Where do I think I find some clues? Because these are connected to all the locations, but these 3 locations over here are not connected to each other at all. So we have to figure out what would be the best plan. Let's go to the administration building. Why not? We'll see who's down here. I'm going to move right over to this location for my second action. Let's see what it says. It says, around the aged administration building, creepers of ivy climb from the ground in an effort to claim it. The old hall stands alone in an isolated section of the campus, apart from the day-to-day bustle of the students. So maybe this isn't the best place to go. Oh well. Well, 4 shroud, 1 clue, not bad. After administration is revealed, put the set-aside facility offices into play. Forced, at the end of your turn, if you are in the administration building, discard the top card of your deck. Oh, barf. All right, we'll put that there. I'll put a couple clues on it because there's 1 per investigator here, so that's 2. I don't know if I'll be doing that. But now I have to put the set-aside administration building into play. Oh, sorry, not the building. I have to put the facility offices into play. Oh, not that side. It says the door leading to the facility office is locked. You cannot move into the facility's office. You come to a locked door at the top of the stairs leading to the 3rd floor of the administration building. Though its frosted window, you glimpse a shadow darting across the hall. Fantastic. Well, I can't get into it. I'm going to place it right there. And so for her 3rd action, she is going to move back up to here because I don't want to have to discard a top card of our deck. Because remember, one of the tokens we can draw is going to cause a lot of pain and agony if I have more than 10 cards in my discard pile. At this point, we'll ready our standees so they're all set to go, or the cards, I should say. We now have all 3 of our actions left. At this point, I believe I also get to flip this after the round ends. If no enemies are in your area, you can flip this to the unbroken side, so we'll do that. There are no enemies out there. I get to unexhaust all my cards. Now, technically, the end of the round would come after I draw the card, I believe. I reset my actions, I ready all exhausted cards, I investigate to draw a card and resource, and then I get to check my hand size. But I'm just going to do it right now. We are going to gain a resource, and we're going to gain a card for Lily. Let's see what we have found. We found another one of our Uncage the Souls, so that's good. I just need to find some more spells to stick out there, which would be pretty awesome. And then we're going to grab a resource for Vincent. He is up to 4, and we'll just grab a card for him as well. He has found, what's this? Refine. Supply double an additional cost to play Refine. Spend an action. Immediately mark the checkbox on an upgrade sheet for a customizable card of your own, even if it's not in play. That's awesome. Max once per game for each investigator. Or, of course, I can use it for these when I'm trying to do potential skills. Moving into the Mythos phase, we'll place another Doom on our location there, and then each of us are going to be able to draw a wonderful happy card. Let's see what Lily gets. Lily gets a Eager for Death. Test 2 increases skill by difficulty for each damage on you. If you fail, take 2 horror. We've seen this before. We're going to grab that one for her. And he is going to get Ancient Evil. Place 1 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance. So we'll add another Doom. We're up to 4. Oh man, we really got to find some clues. I only have a 3 willpower here. I don't think I have any other way to help myself. So I'm going to need to get a, this is only a 2, but sadly I don't like these cards. I'm going to play this to gain my 2 willpower here. So now we have a total of 5. 5 on 2 is a much better number. Let's shake this up, draw a token out of here, and see what we get. We got ourselves another one of these hooded villains. That means it's going to be -1, -3 if there are 10 or more cards in my discard pile. That is not right. So we were able to survive that. We'll put that into the discard pile. At this point, I think we're going to have Vincent move down to, what is this, the Student Union. Even in the late hour, you can hear a muffled chatter from inside the Student Union. Perhaps one of the students will know where Professor Rice is. So I'm going to have him move down there. She's going to follow him using that Safeguard card again. She's going to exhaust that. And he's used 1 action to do this. Let's check and see what is here. It says that this does only have 1 shroud. It only has 2 clues, and that's not per investigator. It's straight up only 2. Forced. After Student Union is revealed, put the set-aside dormitories into play, and I can use 2 actions to heal 1 damage or 1 horror. That's not too bad. Here's our dormitories card. It says the door leading to the dormitories is locked. You cannot move into the dormitories. That's awesome. The red brick from the west dormitory could be seen through the trees. We'll place it right down here below the Student Union because that's technically the only place it is connected to. We'll place down 2 clues onto here. And for our second action, I think we're just going to grab one of these clues. And we're going to grab both of these clues for our last 2 actions. I think it'll be awesome. Now, it does have a 1 shroud, and I've got 5 intellect. So I think we'll be able to find these no problem. Let's see what happens here. We'll mix these up and draw a token here. I've got a -1, -3 if I have 10 cards in my discard pile. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're doing good so far. So I'll place that one back in there and grab one of the clues. We're going to do it one more time. I'm going to mix these up here and see what we find. Hopefully we get not a bad one. Oh no, it's an auto fail. That's no good. I don't have any way to counteract that. So that's the end of his 3 actions. She only has an intellect of 2, but because of this, when I do an investigate, I can investigate with my willpower instead. So technically, she's at +2, and there's really nothing more for me to do. I need to get these clues. So we're going to try to have her do it. She wasn't built to do this, but who knows? Maybe she'll find one. Well, not with the -4. That's her first action. We'll try again for our second action. We have found a skull. Let's check out what the skull says. It has -1. If you fail, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. We did not fail. We were successful. So we've gained our 6th clue. At this point, we will pay all 6 of those clues to be able to advance our act deck. So we're going to discard all of those clues back into the supply. We're going to discard this because that was on the act deck that we were using. And we'll flip this over and see what happens. It says, you are unable to find Professor Rice, but one of the students you spoke with mentioned a strange man entering Rice's office. Unfortunately, the door leading to the facility office is locked at the late hour. The student says that the head janitor, Jazz, might be able to let you in if you can find him. Shuffle the encounter discard pile and set aside Jazz Mulligan into the encounter deck. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. We've got to try to find that guy. That's out of control. All right. Here is Jazz Mulligan. We're going to take him, put him into this deck. We're going to shuffle this whole thing up. There's no way I'm going to find him in this deck unless I've got a way of digging through this thing. We'll give this a good old truffle shuffle here and set it back down. And now I kind of want to dig through this deck as fast as I can to find him. All right, we'll put that right here. We'll take our horror our doom that actually is messed up all over the place. And we are going to advance this. That is all that this is. I'm just going to slide this underneath here. We have our next agenda, Rice's whereabouts. Concerned for Professor Rice's safety, you seek out the head janitor who can let you into the locked section of the campus. Spend 1 clue, discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck. Discard 10 instead if there is 1 player in the game forced. If you discard Jazz Mulligan for any reason, resolve the revelation effect. Objective: when you take control of Jazz Mulligan, advance. All right, so there's a way to dig through the encounter deck. Oh, woofed, I didn't think we'd ever, having to try to dig, there'd be no way we'd find it without that ability. She has 1 action left. She's going to move back up here, and she is done. That's the end of our turn. We'll then re-flip our characters over so their actions are available. We will unexhaust all of our cards. We'll each gain a resource, bringing 5 resources to Vincent, and we have a total of 4 for Lily. At this point, each of our investigators will also draw a card. Lily is going to get, what is this? Spectral Razor. Fight. Add your willpower to your skill value for this attack. Immediately before the attack, you may engage the attacked enemy. This attack deals +1 damage, +2 damage instead if the enemy is non-elite. That's pretty awesome. I'll take that. And for Vincent, we have found ourselves a tool belt. No, I don't really need this right now. Attach asset takes up no slots, and its text box is treated as if it were blank. Exhaust a tool belt. Choose 1. Attach a tool asset to your play area. To a tool belt, switch the tool asset in your play area with the attached asset, or detach an unattached asset. All right, so it's kind of be fun to be able to move some of our stuff around if we need to at some point. That's the end of our, I guess, gaining stuff. Now we have to go to the Mythos phase. We are placing our 5th Doom onto the Mythos, or onto the agenda deck, and we'll draw a card for Lily. Lily has found, same thing. I'm going to go again to the Act deck. That way maybe we can get through the, this is on 5. I bet we power through that before we get to find him. So we'll place that on the agenda deck. And then this one says, oh no, this is the other one. This is for Vincent. He's got to test his willpower again and discard a dex equal to the amount he's failed by. This has a 5 test. I only have a 3. I'm going to discard my tool belt to give myself a 4. I know I'm still not up on him, but a little bit is going to be better than nothing, I'm hoping. We got -1. So we're back to 3. So I've only missed the test by 2. So I'm going to discard the top 2. Oh, there's my other pocket multi-tool and a deduction card. That'd be pretty good too. At this point, I'm going to have Lily go first. She's going to move over to the science building. And that way we can see if there's anything up here for him to come back around. Otherwise, if there's not anything good here, he could just go over here and try to get those clues. It's not going to be fun to stay there, but at least he'll be there to really get those clues. Let's see what we found. There's 2 clues here. Forest. After science building is revealed, put the set-aside alchemy lab into play. When you fail a willpower test in the science building, take 1 damage. Oh, that's horrible. All right, but I will put the 2 clues here at a shroud value of 2. So I am +1 on this if I really want to try it. Shouldn't that be a bad deal? So right now I have a 3 versus a 2, which isn't the greatest. I'm only at +1. Now I could discard this, but I really want to keep this to play. And the rest are all going to be fight and intellect. So none of these are going to help me. I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go 3 on 2 and see what we get. We got, a -2, so that's not enough. So that's her second action. Do I try again, or do I think I play this card. I want to play this card. This will be a lot of fun, I think. Or do we try again? Let's just play the card. Play 2 card, pay 2 resource, put that card out. The reason I'm playing these is these are spells that are going to stay out here, which are going to be pretty sweet. They are events. So this is an event. Never mind, it's not an asset. I almost played this wrong. It's an event, not an asset. So it's going to go away after I play it. So we're not going to do that. The assets are the ones I want to try to get out here, the spell assets. All right, never mind. We're going to go for another investigation here. Let's roll as on. Don't be mean to me, Mr. Bag of Doom. What did you get? A -1. All right, that's okay. That's still enough to get myself a clue. We'll grab that clue token, and we'll probably be discarding it. Sadly, I'll have to wait till next turn to do that. He's going to move over to the administrative building, and that way he can try to get one of these clues. Lily is done. I'm going to flip over her investigator card. Let's see what I can do with my investigations. It's at a 4 right now, and I have a total of 5. So right now it's going to be too tough for me. I'm going to use one of my charges on my old key ring, bringing its shroud value down to 2, giving me the ability to get one of these clues, hopefully a little bit easier. Let's shake up our bag and grab a token. I haven't seen the blue token yet. Let's see what that one does. Nope, this is -1. -3 if I have more than 10 in my discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we're getting close. So he's still at -1, which is enough to get him one clue. I think we're going to try again. I'm going to use my old keyring for the second time. We'll use that last charge, and we'll discard the old keyring because I'm not going to be able to use it anymore. Once it has 0 charges on it, you discard it. Of course, I do get to use it, though, before I discard it. So we'll shake up our little bag here again, draw a token, see what we get. Hopefully it's not too bad. We got a -2, so I'm at 3. Now, this is only a 2, and I'm at 4. So we still were able to succeed at that location to grab ourselves our second clue. That's the end of our activation here. We're going to put this here, and at the end of your turn, if you're in the administration building, I have to discard the top card of my deck. I'm going to discard, what's this? Healing Words. Spend 1 charge, heal damage from an investigator your location. Oh, that's so sad. But it doesn't say ally, so it would only work on the investigator. So I'm trying to get rid of this wounded bystander, but so far I haven't been able to do any of that. That's the end of our turns. We will flip our characters back over, and at this point we will unexhaust all of our cards, and we will each draw a card and gain a resource. Vincent is up to 6 resources now. Lily is at 5 resources, so we have a lot of resources, pretty neat, but that hasn't been our problem right now. Our problem is finding these clues. What's this? Tooth of Etzel. Oh, this is a good one. You get +1 willpower and +1 agility while resolving an ability on a treachery card. After you succeeded a skill test while resolving an ability on a treachery card, exhaust this to draw 1 card. That is super bonkers good. I want to play that as fast as I can. Lily is going to be gaining the bandolier. This is that upgraded bandolier I have. So now I can put out that other weapon, and I'll be able to have these weapons together that I can use. You have 2 additional hand slots, which can only be used to hold weapons. While you have a weapon asset held in 2 or more hand slots, you gain +1 willpower. That is going to be super good. I'm about to play a whole bunch of cards for her. I now have to put 1 more Doom there. I'm up to 6. We'll draw Lily's card. Oh, it's right on top. Put Jazz Mulligan into play at your location. While Jazz Mulligan is not controlled by an investigator, he gains Parlay Test 3. If successful, take control of Jazz Mulligan. While you're in control of Jazz Mulligan, you ignore the text on each unrevealed Macintonic location. So I'm going to place him in the science building. Let's see what happens to poor old Vincent. Vincent has Offer of Power. You must either choose one, draw 2 cards, and place 2 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause it to advance or take 2 horror. He's going to take 2 horror. I don't need this advancing quite yet. Thinking more about it, placing 2 horror on the objective isn't going to be the end of the world because that's going to be way more than it needs. It might not be a bad time to do it. And he only has 6 sanity to begin with. And I think this says this effect can cause the current agenda to advance, so I believe it's going to advance at this time. Because, of course, this card states that this effect can cause the current agenda to advance, we're going to have to advance it. If it just said to place like 3 Doom here, we wouldn't advance the agenda until it came back around to the next step. But we have 2, 4, 6, 8 on here, so we're going to advance the agenda, which means I believe this card discards. Let me just read this card to make sure I've got this right. Peril Revelation attached to limit 1 per treat all damage and horror, current agenda, or current act. I believe this gets discarded. I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments below. We are going to advance this, though, and we'll flip it over, see what it says. It does state, the university's dead silent. The shadows coil about your feet as you walk, and you swear there is something following you with each step you take. Is it just your imagination, or is there really someone or something stalking you? Each investigator with 5 or more cards in his or her discard pile takes 1 horror. Boom. Each investigator with 10 or more cards in the discard pile takes 2 horror. Boom. If the players have completed, the house always wins. Advance directly to Agenda 2B. If you haven't, then go to Agenda 2A. All right, let's check our discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got exactly 10 in this one, so that's terrible. So that means he's going to take 2 horror. Now looking back on it, I'm glad I didn't take the other 2 horror. And she's going to take 1, I believe, because I don't think she has... Oh, she only has 4 cards in her discard pile, so she might not take any. Investigator with 5 or more cards. Yeah, she takes no horror, but sadly, our good friend Vincent is going to take 2. We'll place 2 right here on his card. Sadly, I don't need these keys anymore, I don't think. Well, maybe I do. We'll see how it all transpires. We're going to check out the back side of the next card. It says, Professor Rice's disappearance isn't the only thing amiss at the university. You're unsure exactly what's going on, but you're starting to believe Armitage was right in asking for your help. Each investigator's maximum hand size is reduced by 3 while checking his or her hand size during the upkeep. Barf. All right, we'll put that down there. Now let's see here. How many does he have in his hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's doing just fine. We've got to maybe play some cards for him. Now Lily, on the other hand, has a total. She also only has 5. So remember, our hand size maximum can only be 8. Now it's down to 5. Now that my hand size is reduced, we're going to quickly play out a couple cards here. I'm going to pay 4. I don't know if I'm ever going to need these again, but you never know. So I'm going to put the 2 charges back on this key ring here. And then for my last action, I'm going to move, because I played both of these as actions, and we have 1 left. I'm going to move back up to this location right here. Let's see what Lily can do. Lily is also going to play a couple cards. We're going to play the bandolier first. That's going to cost us 2. Then for the other 3, I'm going to play out that staff, the dragon pole, which is going to be amazing. This dragon pole is 2-handed, but because I have my bandolier, I can actually have more than 1 weapon attached to myself if I want. I'm going to put safeguard on top. These are more of my attacking stuff right down there. Now the good news, with both of these out, I have 2 arcane symbols, which means this is not only going to get +2, or it's going to get +1 damage, and I get 1 for each arcane slot filled. So it's a +2 to hit and +1 damage. The dragon pole is in full effect right now. So I want to now try to keep this enchanted blade out. I don't want to ever get rid of it. I can still use the charges, and it doesn't say anything about discarding it once the charges are gone. So I do have that option if I wish. And for her last action, she's going to try to convince this guy to join her. It's a parlay of 3. I have 1 up here, so I'm going to have a 3-on-3, so this is a pretty mute point. I don't think I'm going to make it, and let me just make sure none of these are going to affect me really bad. If I draw the skull, I'm going to have to discard the top 3 cards. But other than that, it's not too bad. All right, we'll give it a shot here. I don't think there's not much that's going to save me from this one. We'll draw one of these out of here and see what we get here. We got this right here. Oh, we got the +1. Yes. Oh, I can't believe it. Okay. This guy's my friend. This is awesome. This guy is now my friend. I am going to place him with me. I have an ally. That's awesome. I don't have any allies, and he doesn't take an ally slot. He doesn't have the symbols down here. But let's see here. While you control Jazz Mulligan, ignore the tests and on each unrevealed location. All right. We'll place that right there. So ignore the text. So I'm not going to have to worry about any of this stuff on this card, which is fantastic. On top of that, we have found when you take control of Jazz Mulligan, I advance. So we're going to advance to the next step, which is going to be Act 3. But first, we'll read the back of Act 2. It says, you convince Jazz that something strange is going on and that Professor Rice may be in danger. He doesn't trust you enough to hand you his keys, but agrees to come with you. All of a sudden, you hear a crash coming from the science building, and a student rushes towards you. Help! He cries. There's some kind of animal loose in the chem lab. I can barely caught a glimpse of it, but he shudders. I think it's heading to the dorms. You've got to do something. If the alchemy lab location is not in play, put it into play. If you are on agenda 1 or 2, spawn the set-aside experiment in alchemy labs. If you have completed the House Always Wins, put the set-aside alchemy concoction into play underneath the alchemy labs. If extracurricular activities, the first scenario of the campaign, remove the set-aside alchemical concoction from the game. All right. Wow. All right. Let's take a look at what we have to do there. First things first, I totally missed the forced here. I probably read it and then totally forgot about it because I was more worried about the other part. It says when the science building is sealed, put the set-aside alchemy labs into play. So it's right here, and it does say the door leading to the labs is locked. You cannot move into the alchemy labs. Now remember, that is removed from anything all the text is removed from any of the locations that have that keyword on it. The pungent stench rises from the laboratory downstairs. The silence of the hall is broken by the unmistakable hiss of a burner. So we'll place that right here. That should have been there already. That was my fault. Next, we have to place this thing, which is out of control. He is massive. The experiment gets +3 health per investigator. So right now it's at what, 10, 13? Forced when the enemy phase begins, ready the experiment. That's awesome. If the experiment is defeated, advance to Act 3B. So this is really what I think we have to finish. It is in the alchemy labs. We have to place it there. Let's see. That is the end of our second agenda. I think we got everything taken care of here. We put the experiment into play, and that's it. That's all we got to do. All right. So we've got that. The last one we have here doesn't have any clue tokens, so I'm glad we spent all our clues getting those. You have only moments to react. You could warn the students in the dormitories and escort them to safety, or continue your task of searching the facility for Professor Rice. Or perhaps you could try to slay the beast that threatens the campus. Find and complete an objective on another encounter card. All right, we'll see what we can do here. So here's where we stand. This is the board state as you would think of it as. We have our experiment up here. These two facilities we could now get to. We could also get to the alchemy labs. The problem is that she is the one that has Jazz Mulligan. So I don't believe she's going to be the one looking for this person. If I would be able to give it to him, that'd be fantastic, but I don't think I can pass him over there. I really wish I could. Now, of course, this is her third action, so she is done. We'll turn her card over, and that's about it. We'll flip our cards over to give our actions back to us, and at this point, we are going to give every person one resource. We're ready all our cards. They're all ready, and we'll get to draw a card. Let's see what we have found. We found another dragon pole. That's awesome. At least I can add it to my fight, even though I already have it out here, which will be super cool. We'll give one to Vincent as well. He's up to 3 resources, and we'll grab a card for him. He has found deduction. If this skill is successful while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue at your location. That's not really going to help us. We're done with the clues at this point. So that's the end. We'll move into the mythos phase. We'll start by placing 1 doom on the agenda, and we'll draw a card for Lily, see what she has found. Oh no, Ancient Evil Revelation. Place 1 doom on the current agenda, and this effect can cause the current agenda to advance. So we're up to 2. Oh, if I get 1 more, this is going to be bad news. Okay, we didn't. This is attached to your location. Additional cost to move into or out of the attached location. Test 4 willpower. Successful, discard Arcane Barrier. Otherwise, you must either cancel the effect of the move or discard 5 cards from the top of your deck. That's terrible. He's in the worst possible spot for that to be. So that is going to be super bad. We'll put it just like that so I can still read the text. So I need to pass a willpower 4 test or stop moving and then discard 5 cards. Yuck. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move her over here for 1 action. Second action, we're going to move down here. Now, in order to do that, I have to deal with this thing. It's a willpower 4 test. I only have a 3 willpower, so I'm probably just going to botch this test, take the hit on my deck because I've got plenty of cards in there, and see how it goes. Now, of course, if I draw the +1, that'll be absolutely out of... Wow, an auto fail. That's a good time to draw that. Now I either must sacrifice my move or discard the top 5 cards of my deck. I'm just going to discard the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to get rid of these. What did we lose? We lost a lot of cool stuff. Another 6, an Azure Flame spell. This has been awesome to have another arcane thing down. Or another arcane thing down. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right, we lost all that. That's okay. We're going to move over to this location. Then, because now I have this guy, I am able to ignore the text on an unrevealed location. So the text, I may have said this wrong earlier up here, this text is still viable because it's revealed. This is unrevealed, so that's what basically what he's able to do is unlock these locations. That's the deal. He's right here. The door leading to the office facility is locked, but he's able to ignore that. So we're going to flip it over, and I'm guessing this is where the guy is because it's the administrative building. I don't think he's with the students, and I'm definitely not going there. It says forced. After the facility office is revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a humanoid enemy and spawn it here. Shuffle the encounter deck, all right? And then objective, if the investigators in the facility offices spend 2 clues per investigator, so 4 as a group, go to R1. R1 is one of the victory conditions, I think, in the ending, or it might be. We'll see how it all transpires. So I'm going to place my character over here. She is she's out of actions. And on top of that, I have to go through this deck until I find a humanoid enemy. So let's just start from the top here. Nope. 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 A humanoid creature. That's also a creature. I need a humanoid. Here it is. Thrall is a humanoid creature. And it's spawned in that location, I believe, is what it says. Let's make sure let's read this again. and it says spawn it here. Shuffle the encounter deck. So even though this one says spawn in the place of the most clues, which is funny, it's actually going to be this place anyway, because I'm going to have 4 clues there. Even though it does have the 4 clues, and yes, that's the one of the most clues. So it is going to spawn here. It is going to be engaged with her as well, because it spawned there. That's the end of this person's turn. And let me just see what this says. I think I discard this. Effect the move or discard the top 5 cards. If successful, discard Arcane Barrier. Otherwise, okay. So it is still here. So now he's going to have to move down here. 1, 2, he's going to move to this location. He also has to take this willpower test. He only has a 3 as well, except for the fact that he has this going on. You get +1 while resolving an ability on a treachery card. And I believe this is a treachery card. It is a treachery card. So we'll see if we're able to get it. Now, of course, it's at a 0 right now. I don't have anything else that's going to help me. So we're just going to dig into our magic death bag here and see what we find. We found ourselves a +1. Oh, goody, goody, goody. That means we get to get rid of this thing. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So many good things just happened. That gets discarded. And this, after you were successful skill test resolved an ability on a treachery card, exhaust this to draw a card. So I'm going to discard that to draw this card. We got ourselves Healing Word, which is awesome. So that means if somebody does get hurt, I can heal them. And I'm probably going to get hurt from this thrall here in a second. Now that's okay. That's his second action. She's engaged with the monster. So that means this person can still search if I wish to, and it only has a 2 shroud. I'm going to bring it to 0. I'm going to use one of these things. Doesn't matter really what I draw out of this thing. We're good to go here. Let's see what we get. We got a... we got the super symbol. And it says +1 to the effect, and you may heal 1 damage from an investigator or ally asset at your location. I am going to choose to heal 1 damage from my wounded bystander, bringing his damage to 2. That is now his third action. We'll flip over his card. He is also done, but I do gain this extra clue. And I believe, let's see what our objective card says here. It says, if investigating the facility offers spend 4 clues as a group, go to R1. So I've got 3 clues on Vincent Lee, and I've got 1 clue still on Lily. I'm so glad we got these clues. Remember I said, oh, we got these clues. What am I going to do with them? That's pointless. We got these clues. No, we are going to be fantastic. We're able to use these 4 clues. We're going to spend these 4 clues and go to R1. Here's R1. You find Professor Rice bound and gagged in the closet of his office. When you free him, he informs you that the strange men and women wandering around the campus had been stalking him for hours. They cornered him in his office and tied him up. For what purpose? Rice isn't sure. You inform him that Dr. Armitage sent you, and Rice looks relieved, although he suspects that Dr. Morgan might be in danger as well, because the strangers on campus have seen to have been targeting Professor Rice. You decide that the best course of action is to escort him away from the campus as quickly as possible. As you leave the university, you hear screaming from the northern end of the campus. An ambulance passes you by, and you fear the worst. Hours later, you learn that a rabid dog of some sort found its way into the university dormitories. The creature attacked the students inside, and many were mauled or killed in the attack. Oh, that's terrible. Oops. Well, maybe this isn't the best ending. It does say, in your campaign log, record the investigators rescued Professor Warren Rice, which technically I think was our objective, right? Any investigator investigator may choose to add Professor Warren Rice to his or her deck. The card does not count toward their investigator the actual investigator deck size. And here is Professor Warren Rice. He's able to give an intellect or a wild. You get +1 intellect. After you discover the last remaining clue in your location, exhaust Professor Warren Rice to draw a card. I think we'll give him to Vincent Lee. If you don't think that's a great idea, let me know in the comments below. Then it says here in your campaign log, record investigators failed to save the students and you're haunted by guilt. Ooh, I have to add one of these tokens to the bag. That's bad news. Those tokens aren't usually adding more tokens to the bag is not good unless they're +1s. Then it says each investigator earns experience equal to the victory value for each card in the victory display. Proceed to scenario 1B, the house always wins. Well, again, we didn't do very well on getting cards that are part of the victory display. I mean, I don't think we got any at all. We got no, oh, we did get one. We got the facility dorms. We were able, I think, to get this. No, we didn't even get all the clues off. We got none, from what I can tell. I could be wrong, and if I am, let me know. I mean, I could, if I would have gone off into the experiment, we would have gotten 2 from that one. If we would have cleared the clues from this location, we would have probably got another one as well. But, oh well, I guess, well, there you go. That is one way to get through this scenario. There you have it. That is the conclusion to the first mission in the Dunwich Legacy extracurricular activity. This one was pretty cool. I like the different locations we could go to. Some of the things I didn't get to show you was the fact that I could power up these based on some of the, what do you call them? I could have used this card, Refine, which I probably should have at some point, to spend 3 to be able to add something to these, which are pretty cool. So I could, for example, enchant this, which would make it a relic instead of taking up a body slot for the particular piece of armor that we have in our deck here. Let's see if I can actually find that armor in here. It's somewhere, I'm sure. It's probably the next card I would have drawn. Nope, it's this one. So for right now, it takes a body slot. But I could do, if I could enhance this and make it a relic slot, or if I add more of my experience to this, I can make it even better. Like I could make it more durable, giving me +2 health or +2 sanity. Or I have that pocket multi-tool, which I could use for different things if I decide to power it up. I'm really excited for the way these cards work. So I might have to continue playing so I can get some of these, because right now it's 0 experience points. It's not very good. I didn't, because like I said, you only get the victory points for these if you clear the clues off them. So I didn't clear all the clues off, so I don't get that victory point. I didn't kill any bad guys that gave me victories, so that didn't happen. Nor did any of the cards from the encounter deck that I had to try to resolve have any victory on them as well. But on the flip side, we didn't die. We didn't gain any mental or physical trauma except for the one we got from Lily from when we actually started the game. So there you go. That is our playthrough of Arkham Horror, the living card game. If you're interested in seeing more, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to play. And I'd love to try these characters again. I think they'd be really fun to play. So far, they work really, really well together. I think they both were going in a really great pace. She was built for power and he was built for clue gathering. That was absolutely awesome. They worked super, super good. So I'd like to thank Kate and Howard both for giving me some deck ideas. That was fantastic to use them. If you did enjoy the playthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more content comes out. And since it is October, that's why I decided to play this during Arkhamtober. I guess I should probably do more of these for Arkhamtober. That was super fun. Every time this game hits the table, I have a lot of fun. And it's interesting, I've never played this one, even though it's an older set of expansions. When I got into this game, this one was actually considered kind of an older one, so I never really went back to it. So it's really kind of cool to try to get through this one as it is. If you're interested in supporting the channel, my Patreon is in the description of this video. Please feel free to take a look at it. Some of the tier levels that we have is you're able to help decide who we play with in some of our playthroughs. Also, you can help me decide what kind of games come to this. This is one of my October games that is coming, and the Patreon has already voted on another one to be coming to this channel. We're going to be playing Nemesis again during the month of October, thanks to my Patreon voting. Those that have already helped support the channel are located here on the screen. Thank you so much for your generosity and thank you for your patronage. It's so much fun to have such a great community being able to help and grow with this channel. Again, thank you so much for watching. And if you're excited to see Arkham Horror or anything else, then I need you to meet me at the table.